This is the RPM Podcast.
My God, you guys look like unemployed backup dancers.
And here we are again, episode 187 of the RPM Podcast. I'm Scott Riggleman, the host of the show down in Manchester, New Jersey. My brother, Tim Riggleman, which is America's Spotter, is up in Farmingdale, New Jersey. Tim, how are you?
Good. I figured out how to get back on after all this time off. It worked pretty good. So
enough, all my equipment still works too. It's sitting covered in dust on the table down here. Of course, we have the producer of the show and the original cast member and owner-operator of the RPM Podcast, Josh Matthews, down in Waretown, New Jersey. Josh, how are you?
I'm frantic at the moment. I had melted cables. I had all sorts of stuff, and then remembering after however long to put all this stuff together and trying to get my kids' homework going. And yeah, it was a cluster today.
I want to apologize to our listeners. Now, we haven't been on in a while, basically since last year, since the end of last year. I mean, with COVID going on, Josh had to take a lot of the podcast equipment down and, get his kids set up in there for his classroom and all that stuff. My brother's been busy with, school, homeschooling his kids. I just haven't been feeling like doing it. But we were off for a while. Within the time we were off, my brother was away for 90 days up in the Northwest Pacific searching for Bigfoot up in Oregon and Washington State. Tim, any luck finding Bigfoot up there?
Yeah. Well, we found a lot of footprints and smelled them. Wooden ox, smelled them a couple times, but never. Every time we went to get the pictures, the cameras, the phones, the batteries would be dead, and cosmic rays had a lot to do with it and all. But he's there. He knows they're there.
I've been watching this Man of Light channel. It's a YouTube channel, and it's terrible. It's a guy. He's walking down somewhere in the Pine Barrens here, or South Jersey, and he's like, "Oh, look, this is a video of a baby Bigfoot's, reaching for something from its mom or whatever," and it's the blurriest.
And we're already 5 seconds in. We're already off topic already. But they can take pictures of Mars. It looks like we look like on TV now, and that Bigfoot, man, I'm telling you, he's got something going on. Just can't get a picture of him.
He's got powers.
Yeah, Josh asked me not to talk about this, but the real reason we weren't podcasting was Josh had to spend a little time in federal prison. He went around his house and he cut all the tags off his mattresses.
Yes.
And he spent time in prison for that. So it was 30 days per mattress, and he cut the tags off of 3 mattresses. So he had to do 90 days in federal prison, but he's out now. Josh, did you learn your lesson?
I learned that they're very serious about it.
So not remove this tag on the federal law. They mean business, Josh.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, all seriousness, we're glad to be back. We're glad a lot of people missed us. I'm telling you, when I walked around Wall Stadium on Saturday, a lot of people came up to me and say, "Hey, man, why have you guys been podcasting? We really miss it." I mean, Josh, we even have a few messages as far as ways like Tennessee and stuff, and asking, where have we been? Why haven't we been doing it?
Yeah. No, we definitely had some out-of-staters, like people that really just wanted to keep tabs on Wall and stuff like that. And part of the, as we said, the shutdown, aside from my kid needing the studio here for school, was, Wall was not running. I mean, we were all set for Turkey Derby, and then it got postponed, and it was kind of indefinitely. And then we have Rick Patterson, who, hopefully he's enjoying his coffee now, as Tim's dying.
Well, yeah,
He's dying drinking his coffee.
that's for Rich. That's Rich Patterson. That's for you.
But we're back now. We plan on being back for a while. We might, in between the Turkey Derbies and, opening day, we might take a week off here and there. But, yeah, we're going to be back on. As long as Wall's racing, we'll be on here doing this. And, we'll be talking about other racetracks, too. Bethel's going to be starting up soon. Evergreen's going to be starting up soon.
One thing I want to say with people, a lot of people came up to me, believe it or not, and they mentioned they liked the one where we listened to the record.
Oh, yeah.
To Call the Wall. They want us to do more of those. If you have any ideas of what records you want to listen to.
Well, Tim, didn't you send us like 30 links? To
I'm saying, but maybe pick one and do one.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, somebody buy us one and we'll do it. I mean, the record player's just sitting over there.
I got Scott's eBay account. I can get
Okay,
it. No
all
problem.
right.
Right. So it's March 22nd, 2021, and ironically, we just finished day one of Turkey Derby 2020. So we're a little behind, but I tell you what, I just want to go from where my day started and how you guys made out with Turkey Derby and everything, and if it felt like Turkey Derby to you guys or not. I got up here at 7 a.m. I know the pit gates open at 8:30 at Wall Stadium, so I wanted to be there in line and be ready to get in the pits because I still had to get my car safety tech, and the factory stocks were the very first practice session to roll out at 10:30. So I wanted to get in the pits, get my wristband, get my car tech inspected, parked and everything, and ready to go by 10:30. So I I left my house about 7:30, quarter to 8. And when I walked out of my house, it felt like Turkey Derby to me. It was cold out. There was frost on my windshield. I got an open trailer, so there was frost on the race car. It felt like Turkey Derby to me. Then driving up at the Parkway, you didn't have the fall feel because all the leaves are down and it still feels like winter here. So it started not feeling like Turkey Derby to me driving up the Parkway. I arrived, but then when I pulled into the parking lot at 8 o'clock, I was shocked by how many race cars were sitting there in line.
You were not alone.
Yeah. When I pulled in, came off the Route 34 exit, by the big sign. And when I pulled in the parking lot, they had 3 lines of trucks and trailers with race cars on them going across the whole parking lot over towards the Hurley Pond exit
Okay.
at the track. And when and there was a few campers there, not a lot, but there was a few campers there. So when I pulled in, it had the Turkey Derby feel to it, So I got in line with my race car and my trailer, and I just sat in the truck and waited. And the only thing that was a little disappointing, they did open the pit gate about 15 minutes late. So, they were supposed to open at 8:30. It opened at 8:45, but it was fine. What they did was, you're allowed one guy to drive the hauler in. Craig, the longtime security guard at the front gate where Tim goes in up by the ticket booth, he was standing in the back by the pit gate. All you had to do was hand him your driver's license, and you were welcome to pull in, park your rig, and then come back out and get your wristband exchanged. And then once you had your wristband exchanged, Greg would give you your license back. So it was a real good system, and it worked out well. Of course, there was a little bit of a line getting your wristband exchanged, but I understand why they had to do it. And this is why. I mean, you have different color wristbands for different days. Well, back in November, people bought wristbands to go in the pits, and then over the winter got refunded, and they already had their wristbands. So, they had a list of people who got their money refunded. So, of course, if you're there, then they're not going to give you a wristband because you got your money back. And a guy like me, I never got my money refunded, and they knew that. So that I exchanged my one color wristband for that day for a red wristband for the new wristband.
Well, then you got the guys who get creative and know if you need a red wristband, they go to Staples and buy a red wristband, and then they get in.
So I think, I'm not saying it was a bad situation, but it was a tough situation, unfamiliar situation, I should say, for a racetrack, how to handle a situation like this. I think it went rather smooth. You know what I'm saying? So I did get in the pits. I got my car safety tech. They did have us pitting in the pit, Turkey Derby style, to create the pit road down the middle. So that gives you a different big race feel. And I was surprised by how many race cars were there. People got to remember also, it wasn't jam packed because we had few divisions. They spread Turkey Derby out over a course of 3 days, to break the crowds up a little bit. So on the competitor side, everything went super smooth. But I did notice, and Tim can talk a little bit.
Now, do you want to hear about the other side of the pitch?
Well, yeah, I'm getting that. I parked along the fence. It used to be called Street Stock Alley back in the day by the bathrooms. And I noticed, wow, what a line of people at Will Call. And it was a shame, too, because, the heat races started and people were still waiting in line at Will Call.
They had heat races? Oh, yeah, there was qualifying? I don't know. Anybody that was in that line, you got in just in time to sit for an hour and a half intermission, and the feature started.
And that was tough because personally, I had a great heat race. I started on the pole, led every lap and won. And I was all excited that I had a great, just like Josh, he won a consolation race at Turkey Derby one year. And I had my big race win, and I was glad. And then when I pull in the pits, I look out inside in the parking lot. My family's still in line. They weren't even in there to watch me, so they missed it. It must be tough when you pay to get in to watch a race, and you're standing in the parking lot, and you can hear the races that you paid to watch going on in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's nobody's fault. It is what it is, I guess. The only thing that I could say, we left. They said that they advertised that pit gates open at 12 o'clock. So we left Grandma Carol's.
The grandstands gates.
Yeah, open at 12 o'clock. Yeah, grandstand gates. So we left Grandma Carol's at 12:30, figuring that the line would, they opened up the. We assumed that they would open the ticket line before 12 o'clock, so you get in.
Mhm.
So I figured if it was open at 11, 12:30, everybody would be in. It wouldn't be that much of a line. Obviously, they must have opened up the line at 12 o'clock too. You know what I'm saying? They could have opened that up a little earlier. And I don't know. I can't say for sure, but I was told that you weren't allowed to go get your tickets anytime earlier, like during the week, to the office.
Right.
So maybe have that open if somebody's there. So they can go during the week to make it a little quicker for the people that are local that can get their tickets early.
Right.
But to wait in line for an hour and a half and then get in and sit down there like, all right, now we're on intermission till 3 o'clock and it's 1:30.
It felt like a long intermission too.
It was.
Like,
It was.
Yeah. For an hour and a half doing nothing.
But I mean, you live and you learn.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough situation for the track how to handle this. I mean, you're dealing with the COVID stuff. You're dealing with people that got refunded, people that didn't get refunded. And I'm sure everybody that walked up to that will call table had a different story, a different form printed out, a different confusion, a different credit card bill. I'm sure it was tough on both sides. And you need a computer to handle a situation like this. So it's not like they can have 10 people sending care of it, because they don't have 10 computers available.
And Diana and Emily were down there dealing with it. They weren't hiding from it in the office.
Right. Yeah, they didn't hire some teenage girl to go with everybody's brutality.
They were down there dealing with the best they could. I mean, you live and you learn. Hopefully by next year we won't have to worry about it. I'll tell you what, though, I'm never buying a ticket online again. I don't care. Because 2 years in a row now, we've bought tickets online to save time at the track. Right. You're waiting in some kind of line, and where the tickets are for
3,000
for sale. Yeah,
there's only 200 people showing up on the race.
And then the people that
on the pit side, Ellie Wall makes fun of me every year because I get my stuff in advance, and then I'm standing in line, and he just walks up and pays and walks right past me and laughs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I bought my wristbands Friday afternoon, and I got there a little late. I got there right after the heat races, and there was nobody at the pit will call. I mean, there were two people in the booth, but there was nobody in line. So we walked in. We didn't have to wait at all. We signed our stuff and went in.
You wore your wristbands Friday at what? At practice? Or was it practice?
No, online.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I did it right on my phone. I was at work. I had a couple minutes while I was flushing a fire hydrant. And I said, all right, cool. Click, click, click. And, paid and whatever. And then we got right in. But it was right after the heat races. And then I ended up talking with...
Heat race too, Josh?
What's that?
You missed my heat race too?
Yeah, I don't love you enough, I know. But I ended up talking with Lee and Matt Guadagno. We're all just BSing around. And it's funny because Matt was texting me today because we talked about possibly, trying to work on my car, put it back together. And, I told him I need to go over the motor because, it's been sitting for a couple of years and who knows. That and it, just to make sure, freeze plugs didn't get pushed out or anything crazy like that. And he was telling me he might have a spare block. And he's like, dude, seeing everybody on Saturday, I got the fever again. So, and I'm thinking about the same thing. Like, all right, well, maybe if I can start doing it, and like we talked about, Scott, maybe maybe I'll get out there for some enduros. But Grandview wants me to film for their Outlaw series, so I'm going to be trying to get out there and do some video work.
All right, so back to Turkey Derby. We all got in. we all eventually got in. And it was a shame. A lot of people did miss the qualifying and in the heat races. The heat races basically went off without any problems. I mean, my heat race itself went green to checker, and I really didn't see any major incidents or anything super exciting happening.
So the sportsman didn't take down the backstretch guardrail?
No, not that I know of. And they might. I think they time trialed.
I think they might have time trialed. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the factory stocks and four cylinders were the only ones that heat raced anyway. So I mean, I understand people's gripe. I mean, they do pay to watch the qualifying too, and it is a torture when you're outside in the parking lot.
I pay to watch heat races. I don't pay to watch single car qualifying.
Right. I mean, so a lot of people did miss the qualifying that is a shame, but they did get in for the features. Tim, you said you got in time for intermission. Did you have time to check out the concession stands at all or anything like that?
They announced it. Tizzy and the girls got their standard chicken fingers and French fries, which are always an excellent buy. They're always really good. I had a cup of coffee, which was excellent, and the specials they said over the loudspeaker it was kibasi.
Ooh.
Oh wow!
Different kind. You can get kibasi, I think, with pierogies, and you can get it on a sandwich. And I think you can get it with macaroni and cheese. So it was all kibasi based.
Don't mind me. I'm just going to order DoorDash here real quick. I'm getting hungry thinking about this.
I gave up on DoorDash, Josh. It just doubles the price of your food. It really does. Like I'd rather just get my car and go drive and pick it up.
In a lot of cases, yes. But if I've been drinking or something like that,
Yeah. I guess that saves you there.
But
might have been. Josh, you're always drinking, so it's not. You might have been drinking.
Concession-wise, my dad and I got the last 2 cheeseburgers that they had.
Oh, wow. They sold out of cheeseburgers?
We got them right as the 4 cylinders were rolling down, so they were starting to pack up everything for the day.
I tell you what, on the pit side, it felt like we never left. I mean, the pits were spotless, clean.
Yes, the place was clean.
They had hand sanitizer and soap in there. They actually had a real cool hand cleaner. I might even get it for my shop. It was called Cherry Bomb, and it's made by Zep, ZEP.
Oh, O'Shea has that in his shop.
Does he really? I tell you what, that stuff works awesome. It smells good, so I might even get that.
It's got that grit like the Gojo or Fast Orange and stuff.
Yeah, I tell you what, that really cleaned my hands good. I kept going in there and washing my hands and stuff. I was wearing a mask,
and it smells nice too.
Yeah, it did. It does. It smells like berries. What was it like on the grandstand side, Tim? Was all the bleachers painted? Was everything looked good? You got some work.
No, it looked like it was ready for opening day. Everything was nice and clean. No
I couldn't tell. There were too many butts in the seats.
I tell you what. By race time, there was a decent crowd there.
A lot of people came out of the pits to go in the grandstands for features.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true too. That's very true, Tim. I know. I always forget about that we can't.
It was very comfortable until the modifieds came out, and then everybody came in from the pits.
A lot of people were sitting watching the factory stocks, and
and
the factory stocks went out early, which is so abnormal for.
Could have went out early.
There was some guy standing behind us, and I could hear him talking, and they came from like Connecticut or something to watch the factory stocks. Like that's why they were there to watch the factory stocks.
Awesome.
Fortunately, Elliott Wall ruined a good race.
Yeah, him and his what, Scott?
His petcock.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get to that though. Let's get to the very first feature of the night was the Sportsman, or the day I should say, was the Sportsman, and they lived up to Josh's criticism, that's for sure.
I posted on Facebook, "Sportsman gonna sportsman."
Yeah, it was a rough one.
That race took forever.
How many red flags before even halfway?
What's that, Josh?
There were multiple red flags before they even made it halfway.
Yeah. I mean, one of them wasn't like driver error. I mean, unfortunately, Rick and Collins exploded an engine going down the front straightaway.
And there was a hard hit, too, associated
with
that.
It soaked the straightaway going into turn 1 with oil, and everybody went wrecking. And it took very long time to clean up that accident. And it should have, because there was multiple cars, a lot of oil. It's a tough accident to clean up. We do have one of the best track crews around, one of the speediest track crews around, but something that severe takes a long time to clean up.
Yeah.
Man, I became pretty good friends with Ricky over the years, so I walked over to the car to check it out, and it had rods hanging out of both sides of the oil pan, on the left side and the right side. I haven't seen a motor blow up that bad in a very long time.
I just saw a couple pictures of the car afterwards, and it was, I mean, the rest of the car got pretty beat up too.
And I feel bad for Ricky and his new car owner in that Sportsman division because, I mean, it's bad enough you blow up your motor, but then when you slide in your own oil and hit the wall and then destroy the car itself, it's like a double whammy. You know, like
Yeah.
you lose the motor and the rear clip of the car. It's a tough way to start your race season, and I feel really bad for them. I even asked Ricky, I said, what do you think happened to the motor? Do you think you like over revved it or missed a shift? He's like, Scott, these sportsmen, we don't even shift, you know, we just start in high gear and go. He's like, I don't know why it blew up. It just blew up. He's like, no warning, no nothing, just going down the straightaway. You know, all of a sudden, boom, it just blew up.
Wow.
And the thing was running great before it did, you know?
Well, they always do, right?
Yeah. And unfortunately, is it the X3, Tim, or the 3X? I think it's the X3, right?
X3, yeah.
Alan Camp's car, it was being driven by Robert Suffin in this race. He hit super, super hard, and that car was very, very severely damaged. Robert's a very good driver. He's a veteran of Wall Stadium. He's been around forever. I mean, he's one of the guys that's probably got more races there than me. And there's not many people like that over there. And he got shaken up in that wreck too, I think. Tim, did he leave in the ambulance?
I don't know.
I think he
wasn't
was
very-
walking down really slow, and then they checked him out in the ambulance.
Yeah, it might have been a foot injury or something. So we hope Robert's fine.
It's easy. I mean, when it with an impact like that, to have your legs bounce around, and you know, it's easy to hurt something.
Yeah, I mean they call them foot boxes in the modifieds. That's where your feet go down by the pedals and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's not much room down there. And just what Josh says, your feet can get bouncing around down there, hit the side of the pedals, you know, hit your other foot, you know, and up and down in the smaller foot boxes of those cars. So we hope Robert's okay. If anybody knows his condition, just message and let us know how he's making out. Hope to see Robert back, but that car was really.
I think it was actually a photo of his car on the flatbed wrecker.
With the RPM podcast stickers on it?
Yeah. So, and it's on both sides of the flatbed. They put the podcast sticker. So whoever did that, reach out. That was pretty cool.
They were, when the racing did get going, it was pretty good. I mean, Blake Barney and I always get the kids confused which one's which, but the DiGiotto Tommaso kids, Charlie's kids, the one was out front, and they were going at it pretty good. Blake and him, you know, for the lead. Blake was driving a Paul Hartwick 73 car, and Blake was putting on a good show with that car. I think Blake ended up falling back to third there at the end. I think he got passed there at the end, but it was good. And once they
He's a good driver, and that car is not that car is no slouch either.
No, and I know Robert Barney and Blake have been working on it over at Barney's all weekend and ready for Turkey Derby, and they put a great run in with it. I did see. Did you see how Neil Rutt and Ray Fataruso got tangled up? I know.
Oh yeah, that was I think turn 2. They decided to play monster trucks. And,
really? Yeah, I seen the picture, and Ray was up on the left front tire of.
Oh
Neil Rutt.
yeah, I mean, there's.
Josh, did you notice that Gary Larson, our track announcer, kept calling the 66 driven by Paul Hartwick, and it was Neil Rutt in the car.
Yeah, well, leave it to Gary.
Yeah.
But hey, Paul got some notoriety for that.
Yeah.
But no, Neil, I think, said the oil pan was like right up, in his face.
Oh Jesus! It gets scary when a car gets up alongside you like that, and you can see.
How'd they come together like that? That was like a.
I don't know. I was in my car.
It ended up. I think Fataruso got into Neil slightly, or like maybe he went for the a low spot and it closed or whatever, and then Neil ended up a little bit sideways, and then as Fataruso corrected, he went and then climbed over the Nerf bars, and
it ain't hard to do in those cars. You just get a little crooked on them, and you can drive right up on the side of them.
Yeah. But I mean, he's Neil's lucky that that nothing came in the window, as well as he didn't break anything else off the front end or snap the carb off the motor or something like that,
We can blame Hot Pockets because he was spotting for Fataruso.
Okay.
Might as well blame somebody.
Who was spotting for Neil? Anybody know who was spotting for Neil?
No.
Tim, were you spotting for anybody that race?
I was spotting for Michael Smith, I think his name is. They call him Smitty in the 08.
Okay.
Tommy Farrell's car. Yeah.
I tell you what, that car looked beautiful. That was that orange and white 08, Josh. That car looked really, really good on the track. And I watched Smitty in practice. He was turning some very good lap times.
Did very very well. He's the original driver from that division when it first started.
Yeah, he was there with the Evans chassis years
ago. I think it's the same car.
No, yeah, I talked to Smitty in the pits. He said that's Tommy's last tour car. It's a
okay.
Troyer style car.
I know Tommy's got quite a few Evans cars over at his garage. So
yeah. Now this is a 08 Troyer style car. It's one of Tommy's last tour type cars that they dug out of the weeds and fixed it up. I tell you what, it's a beautiful race car. I know Richard Evans here helped with the body, and it looks awesome. It's a nice, clean paint scheme.
He did very well. He came from the back of the pack twice, so
yeah,
finished eighth. He did okay.
Tell you what, he was walking around those pits I think he had a big smile on his face. Like he really was glad to be back in a race car. He did take some time off, and it was great to see Michael Smith back racing. He's one of those guys just that loves to race. He's always happy, smiling, So
he's there every Saturday in the grandstands.
So he was happy to be back out on the track.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, you want to pull up the results for us?
Yeah, I can. Give me just a second.
I just wanted to mention that the Sportsman cars, they went 40 laps. They had a 40-lap race. It felt like 400, but it was 40.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was.
It had to have been an hour and a half. That race had to.
You know what? I'm really surprised they didn't do the time limit thing, but in a way I'm kind of glad they didn't, because these guys waited months to run this race, and for it to get cut short at like 25 laps would have been tough. So I'm glad. They
all said and done, we were out of there by 6:30. It's not that big a deal.
I will say sometimes though, I mean, when they bring it up upon themselves by their driving style, then sometimes it's kind of warranted. But
that's another good thing about Turkey Derby not being overloaded with divisions. They have time to complete the show, so they take a little more time to let the division finish its race. Yeah,
no, I agree. I want to say it was actually
like single file restarts or anything like that, or did they stick with the traditional double files?
I think it was double file the whole way. I don't remember going single file.
Accidents are happening, and it's running late. They make them do single file, so that tries to cut the cautions out.
They probably should have gone single file, but no, they stayed double file for that. Anyway, so I had the feature line.
First of all, how many cars were in that race, Josh?
It says 17 here.
All right, so we had 17 sportsmen. We like to give out the car count, so we had 17 sportsman cars.
Yeah, no, I thought it would have been a little bit higher for this, but with the weird situation,
people had made plans for this weekend. Let's face it, nobody knew when it was going to be, and people get married and everything. This is the time to get married, right? Springtime, beginning of spring.
That and a lot of other tracks are, or people that would have been, invaders, they're getting ready for their own track.
Because they're waiting for their own track to open up,
Yeah. So, and depending on how much stuff they would have to change over to match the rules, and who knows. So, anyway, the finishing order here, the results are the winner was Jarrett D. Giant Tommaso, followed by Kevin Davison, Blake Barney, Christian LaCicero, Jeffrey Loesch, Ray Fataruso, Neil Rutt III, Michael Smith, Kenny Reeves, and Jimmy Walcott rounds out your top 10.
And that's a good run for Kevin Davison. He's back in the sports division after driving for the Okerson family in the modified division. Unfortunately, I heard the Okerson 99 family team is shutting down. I heard they sold their motors, and now they're looking to sell the car, and that's really an end of an era, Tim, because we remember being kids watching Charlie Okerson, the father, his yellow 99. It was kind of odd not seeing an Okerson 99 car at the racetrack, because that's a famous family race team, just like the Reeds, the Blewitts, the Barneys. I mean, the Okersons have been a fixture at Wall Stadium for a very long time, and it seems like they finally decided to pack in the team, and then Kevin went back to driving his own 48 Sportsman car.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. So that was the first feature. Then I went in. I actually was starting to go and look for a place to sit down, because there was no seating other than way down at the bottom. And I go back through the pits, and lo and behold, there's Scott lined up on the grid, hanging out, waiting for his, probably taking a nap, waiting for the feature Sportsman to finish up. But yeah.
So yeah, the factory stocks were the next feature. The American Steel, as Earl Krause likes to call us. we rolled down on the track, and our race started off great. I mean, we went, I think, 17 laps without a caution. And then we kind of turned into the sportsman division too. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Our first half of our race went very well. The second half of our race, there was a lot of caution spins. Unfortunately, Elliott Wall was leading the race. I was running second. Brian O'Shea was running third, and we were pretty much checking out, and we were gone. And Elliott runs the Petcock style drain plugs on his engine block. He just thinks he never tightened it up, and it started loosening up more and more. And finally, it opened up and just dumped the water out going down the back straightaway. And I was probably about, I don't know, Josh, what do you think, 7 or 8 car lengths behind?
Yeah, I was going to say 6, 7, something like that, yeah.
And I was in a tough situation because I had Brian right on my back bumper, and I seen Elliott spin, and of course the first reaction that comes to me is, oh, wow, I'm going to take the lead here. Elliott just spun out. But then it comes across me like Elliott is a pretty good driver where he just doesn't go in the corner and spin out all by himself. So I'm like, he blew up. And by the time I realized that, I'm on the float already, and I'm trying to do everything to keep the car out of the wall. And even if I did slow down, I might have been in a little bit of trouble anyway because Brian was so close to me. He might have not realized what was going on and pushed me in anyway. So now I'm just holding for dear life, trying not to hit the wall because you're going down that back straightaway at a pretty good speed. And Elliott said he had water in the car with that stuff called water wetter, to make the car run cooler. And that stuff, it's almost like soap. And it was
we all know Elliott is true guy when it comes to lubricants. So
yeah,
he's got the
best lubricant. Corner, I'm just hanging on. I'm praying I don't back this thing in the fence. And then, Brian's coming through, and I'm trying to get because now I'm sitting sideways going into turn.
And you have the whole field coming at you.
And now
the field's coming, and they don't realize there's water on the track.
And you got to worry about maintaining your speed not to get caught to the rear.
And another crazy rule we have at Wall Stadiums is if you stop in an accident, you go to the rear. If you keep going, they don't consider you involved in the accident, so you keep your spot. So I got all this going through my mind. I'm looking to the left. I see the whole field coming. I'm trying to get my car under control. I'm trying to get out of the way. Unfortunately, when I got moving again and trying to floor it to get going again, I hit Brian, and that set Brian into Elliott. And Elliott was trying to get moving again, and he hit Brian again. It was a mess, And I really never did stop.
I don't think all three ever stopped.
Yeah, I mean, but Elliott had to go in the pits because he had no water in his car, and he's the one that dumped the water on the track.
Yeah.
Brian, unfortunately, had to go into the pits because I hit him in the right rear and bent the right rear. Elliott hit him in the left rear, bent his left rear, so he had damage. He had to go in the pits. I had no damage. So I drove away, and I was hoping to keep the lead, but they decided to send me to the rear because I was involved in it. But Dave Michael, our race director, did call me.
Let me guess. He used a judgment call.
Yeah, he did use a judgment call, and he did explain to me what he was thinking. He was wondering how I felt about it. I felt the caution was out because there was fluid on the track, not because we spun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he agreed, but he did say that I did spin. I was sideways sitting in the corner, and they just decided to send me to the rear, which. Whatever. I mean, I do. I respect Dave. I think he's going to be a race. He did a great job last year. He's going to do a great job this year as a race director. We've had him on the show. He was a great guest on the show. Very, very knowledgeable about auto racing. Very knowledgeable about racing at Wall Stadium. He does see it from a racer stand view because truly he is a racer. I mean, the guy's a 7 or 8 time track champion over there. So I respect this call. I mean, it did. It might have cost me the win. You know what I'm saying? But whatever. I mean. And he did tell me, sometimes calls go your way and sometimes they didn't. And unfortunately, this time it didn't go my way, Yeah. And whatever. I raced on. I did have to go to the rear, and I did make it back up to 6th at the finish. There was only about 13 laps left or something like that. So I finished 6th. My car was relatively in one piece, but a ball joint did get bent in that accident, so the car wasn't handling as good after the accident, but I was able to work my way back up. But there was a slew of more cautions, and they hurt me too because I would pass 2 or 3 cars. The caution would come out, and they would put those 2 or 3 cars back in front of me because we have the rule where they go back to the previous lap. And then with 1 lap to go, I'm like, all right, I was running like 10th. I'm like, all right, this is where I'm finishing. I'm just going to finish in one piece, and then I'll move on to the 100-lapper next week. Well, then the caution comes out again. And at first, I wasn't happy about it because I'm like, oh, here we go. Now there's going to be a big wreck, and everybody's going to be junked up, and there was only 1 lap left. Well, that last restart worked out well for me. The outside row went. I was able to pick up 4 or 5 spots in a couple laps, and I moved back up to 6th. And Elliott was able to make it all the way back up to 3rd. So it turned out to be a pretty good race, but there was a lot of beating and banging in the last half of the race. And there was a few cars damaged. I didn't see it. Maybe you guys saw, but I heard Uncle Joe Monjo. He went up on the wall in the back straight.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got to see if
Front straightaway.
there's video of that.
Front
But I don't know if they were 3 wide or what coming off of 4 there. But
I don't know what happened. I don't know. He just was on the wall. All of a sudden, was on the wall.
he hit the wall a ton. Like, he slapped it. He hip checked the wall, and then he climbed it. I thought for sure he was going over for a second.
That's
I
what
mean,
Nancy said. She's like, I don't know how Uncle Joe saved that, man. He was getting ready to go on his roof.
I guarantee that axle's bent.
I don't think he saved it. He was along for the
I
ride.
saw on Facebook, he said he lost 3 rims and a bunch of other stuff, so he's got some damage to fix before the 100 lapper.
Oh yeah. No. He beat that car up. In the last couple hundred feet. Whatever happened, I'll see.
When he came down off the wall, I think he got into the 41 car of AJ Jajaki and gave AJ some damage too. Because I seen when we pulled up pit road into the pits, I seen AJ had right front damage and his fender was hanging off.
I think AJ got damaged coming out of turn 2 with a couple laps to go. He got pinched up into the wall.
Okay,
So that might have been what you saw.
too. And that's what I
AJ
mean.
had a real good run going.
And I
He's
gave
really
some
good.
spots by other people spinning out and having misfortune at the end
I
of the race.
I feel bad for Flores kid. He was doing good too.
Yeah, Flores had a
Spun.
good run until he spun.
Yeah,
It was a wild race. It was a good show. And
and
go ahead.
I say every week too and I always remember his name the kickboxer guy or whatever he does, MMA guy or whatever it is. He gets better and better every week.
He's fast.
He's right up. Yeah, he's right up there running with everybody.
Anyway, he's using the same philosophy I guess he used in fighting, like dedication and hard work, because he's at all the practices. He's always at the track. He's focused and he's doing very well, and he's learning quick. He'll get a couple wins.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It was a fun race for me. I went to the back, and I just said to myself, all right, tonight might not be my night for a win, but it's Wall Stadium. You just keep going because accidents are going to happen again, and you're going to move up spots, and that's kind of what happened.
The craziest thing I found, and you guys know that I did not have the fastest car by any means, but when I would run,
Why you raced?
anyway,
When'd you race?
We just changed to the History Channel here.
many years ago. No, but I was thinking about this, and just by avoiding the wrecks and staying in it,
That's half the battle.
I would find, with like 10 laps to go, I was like, well, I'm in the top 10. I'd be like 7th, 8th, something like that. And, I don't have that fast of a car, but just by avoiding all the BS and all the dumb wrecks and stuff, you can do pretty well.
Yeah.
I bet you if I put my car together, I could get a top 10 in the sportsman division every week.
But with that being said, you still got to be fast enough where you don't get run in from behind, too. You still got to be fast enough and aggressive enough where you
Oh
don't
yeah,
get wrecked.
yeah. No, you can't. You can't crawl, but it was a. You had to make it handle, and then you also just had to be in the right places or know what to avoid. So,
All right, now the question. Wait. The question of the day was, where was Nancy?
Nancy works at an accounting firm. Tax season, super busy. She did come to the track to watch me race, but she just didn't have enough time to help me get the car to the track and stuff like that and be ready to race. But she is going to run the 100 lapper. I'm actually going to go get the car out of our storage. The car's all race ready to go. I mean, I did everything in that car back in November. It's got 4 brand new tires on it, oil's changed, brakes, wheel bearings, everything's ready to go. She's going to run the 100 lapper. They did get extended for tax season until May 17th, so that kind of opened up a little bit of room at her work. She does have a couple employees that unfortunately have COVID, so that put a lot of work strain on her. But she wants to run the 100 lapper. So yeah, she'll be there this week on Sunday.
yeah, she brought up a
We
great.
had 20 factory stocks.
Whoa! Before we get on, Dave Michael's not getting off that easy. You might want to not talk bad about him, but I want to say something. First of all, if you would have had a spotter, you wouldn't have spun out. You would have known there was oil down there or water.
No, we have a receiver. It's
second-
good enough.
Yeah, okay, yeah, receiver. How good your receiver works, Scott, on the floorboard of your car? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a personal problem. Mine was working
Second-
fine in the grandstands.
I tell you
in
what,
the
though,
grand-
like everybody's like, well, Elliott spun out in the corner. You had time to avoid the water, but he started dumping water halfway down the back straightaway. So
Yeah,
know
yeah.
what?
You can
I'm
see where the
already
water was.
yeah, I'm already
But
on the water. It's
You could have told you where to be a different line or something. I'm kind of busting your balls
I'll
about the
tell you what,
spot.
dude.
Second of all, it depends on when. We've had this discussion before. When the tower calls put it out, or when the flagger puts it out, when was the caution out, and when did you spin? And the big one was you never stop moving. If they're going to use that jerked off rule there, they got to stick by that jerked off rule there. When it comes to the judgment call by a guy that used to race, and I'm not saying nothing bad about Dave Michaels. Chad Little used to race too, and he was the worst official the NASCAR Modified Tour ever had in its life. So, with that being said, they should have, if they're going to use a judgment call like that, they should have maybe 3 guys to vote on that, just not one guy. They said, okay, was he moving or not moving?
He did tell me that too. Him, Eric Brennan, and Lisa Boyce were discussing it, And you know what? He didn't come out and quite say this, but if he makes the call and keeps me up front, it'll make me happy, but it'll piss off the 20 other guys in the race.
See-
So have 20 people yelling at him.
Yeah, but what's the rule? You kept going.
It was so borderline. Like it's like looking at the glass half full or half empty.
Well-
There was no definitive
There's one other problem.
video of what should have been the right.
They-
It could have went either way, And he's like,
It's really easy, real easy. If your tire never stopped fucking spinning, you never stopped. You know what I mean?
I know.
Come on.
I know.
There's
The
one
bottom line
other.
is someone soaked the track with fluid. That's what the caution's for. It's not for the spinning cars. It's for because there's fluid on the racetrack.
And then again, if they're going to use that thing where you spin and you keep going, maybe go where you merge. You would still would have been third or fourth. You weren't last.
Well, I
You
would
know
have
what
been
I mean?
first because the 2 cars that were first and well, I
So
was.
if you
second.
came across,
The leader went in the pit, so I should have been the leader by process of elimination.
All right, but
Whatever. 47 years old. I'm racing race cars. I'm having fun. It's racing. That call did not go my way. Hopefully, the next one will.
that's true.
I
But
bet you got it'll go somebody down from Manahawkin's way real easy next week.
all right, so real quick, there's one other weird aspect to the whole caution calling thing, and this affected me, and this is why I try to pay attention to it. Is
They had cautions back then.
oh my god. It's who they call a caution for. There was one. What happened to me was I got run into, and it looked as though we were stuck, but I never stopped moving. Rich Monjo broke a hub and ran into the side of me. I never stopped moving. I kept going. I wasn't the cause of the accident, but the caution was called for Rich and myself. They said, the 95 and the 57, which made me have to go to the rear, even though I did nothing wrong. I got hit and never stopped moving.
Right.
Because the caution was technically partially called because of my car number. That puts me to the rear, and so
And that's the way I look at it. I did nothing wrong. Elliott Wall soaked the track down with water. He caused the caution, not me. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's frustrating as all hell. But
Yeah. I can't let it eat at me. Who knows what happened after? I mean, my car was great. I think I could have held everybody off and won the race, but who knows? I could have been flipped over on the back straightaway trying to hold somebody off for the win. So everything happens for a reason in my life. That's a good saying me and Nancy have. So
yeah,
Dave Michael sending me to the back happened for a reason. I'll just never know what that reason is. Dave did call me. We did discuss it. He's doing a great job, and I'm glad to have him as our race director.
and you'll be back at it again next week.
Maybe like Dave said, he's like, maybe next time the call will go your way. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. And it does. I tell you what, I told this story before. We're going real far back, even further back than Josh's racing career.
Ooh.
My very first win at Wall Stadium, I started like 22nd. There was a big accident going into turn 1. I cut through the infield and came out third, and they left me there. So I went from like 22nd to third because I cut through the infield, and they left me there, and I won my first race. So that day, the official call.
See, you're still paying for that.
And like I said, bottom line is Elliott Wall didn't tighten up a drain plug. It came out. It soaked the track down. Everything else after that is circumstantial.
There is massive fraud.
Elliott would tighten that drain plug. It would have been a whole different race. You never know.
Yeah. Well,
All right, so there was 20 factory stocks there. You got the top 10 for us, Josh?
Yes, I do. Mike Montano, we haven't even mentioned at all yet, gets the win.
You know what? It was kind of cool that the Montanos won because I did talk to Mickey Montano, which is Mikey's dad. He owns that whole operation. Dedicated racer, loves Wall Stadium. He did say they're probably going to run about 8 or 9 races this year. Unfortunately, Mike Sr., the owner of the team, had severe shoulder surgery over the off season, and he said he's out of work for a year. So I'm sure that doesn't help you financially being out of work for a year. So he said they're only going to run 8 or 9 times, but then again, the Montanos say that every year, and they make every race anyway. He said they've won a championship, which they did, and they said the only thing that they're really missing that they can consider themselves as having a great racing career is a Turkey Derby win, and they got it. So
yeah,
they set their goals in racing, and everything else here on is a bonus. Great racing family, father and son team. They got a few good friends that help them. Mikey's a great driver too. He's one of the smoother drivers out there, and you can run side by side with him. He's fun to race with. His father's fun to race with. They do it right. They bring the enclosed trailer. They bring food. They have fun. It's a little family affair. They park in the back. They mind their business. They race. And Mikey won. So, great for Mikey.
Yeah. No, good for them. Second, we have Joey Helberg, who I swear had a target on his back. I mean,
he had a rough day. That was a hard
fought. He was all the way up by the wall on turn 2, and
yeah,
because he was still up there when they threw the green flag after the next restart.
He drove hard all day. Yeah.
What was it? I think it was AJ that blew a right front and then nearly took Joey out, sent him up to the wall. I mean, everybody was just pounding on Joey, and for no reason. Like he was just in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
It gets rough out there. That's why I don't put new bodies on the cars anymore. It's just not worth it. People are like, "When are you ever going to paint your driver's door?" I'm like, "Never." It's brutal out there. My day of making shiny, fancy-looking race cars are over. I just make sure everything's straight and performs well. I don't care what the body looks like anymore.
Yeah, no, it's not worth it. I think
all the cars look great. I think they all still look good.
Yeah,
for the most part,
But
keep going with the top 10 there, Josh.
Oh yeah, no. So anyway, a good finish for Joey, and yeah, he definitely fought to stay up there. Elliott, I still don't know how he made it back up there after that.
He said they never even put water in. He said they came in, they tightened the drain plug up. They went to go put water in the car, and he had the radiator cap. He didn't have his drain plug on his block tight, but he has radiator cap safety wired, so the radiator cap came off, so they couldn't even get the cap off to put water in. So he's like, "Yeah, but my water temp never got hot." I'm like, "Elliot, there's no water in there for the temperature gauge to read. You might have been oil in that thing. You don't even know."
Yeah. Well, we can only hope. Now,
and in Elliott's defense, he did message me and Brian O'Shea, and he was apologizing for ruining our race and everything like that. It's stuff happens. Stuff breaks. We're not all perfect, and Elliott's far from it.
Yeah, no, it was just it sucked for a lot of people. Anyway, so fourth was Brian Osborne. Good run for him. Fifth, Tom Rushkowski. Scott, you made it up to sixth. Seventh was Doug Ashford in that. And whose car was that?
That was Tim Majak's car. That's the former 74 car.
Okay. Brian DeSarno is in eighth. AJ Jadecki in ninth. And Brian O'Shea was 10th. And how many Brian? That's one, two. That's three Brians in the top 10.
And I tell you what, I'm surprised Brian O'Shea was even able to finish 10th because I was behind him. You could tell that rear was bent because the car was sitting lower in the back because both rear tubes were bent.
Okay.
And the left side tire was wobbling like a clown car. I'm like, man, that thing's gonna break on him, So it was a tough race. It was a lot of beating and banging, but all in all, I think everybody should be able to get repaired and come back for next week.
It was a good show. It really was a good show. I enjoyed watching the race, and I wish I was able to be out there.
And I know Brian's putting a new rear together because I actually gave him a rear end housing to fix the rear. So hopefully he can get all that back together and be there in time for Sunday's show. So he even has an extra day, So
I'm
should be able to get back together.
sure it's already in.
And the factory stocks, they go 100 laps. First time in factory stock history, we're going 100 laps over there. I mean, we've done it in the Enduros. I've actually won a 150 lapper with the car Nancy drives now in the factory stock division when they were having the Enduros at Wall Stadium. So I think it's going to be great, a 100 lapper over there with the factory stocks. I'm hearing through a grapevine that the first 60 laps, the yellows are going to count, and then after that, it's going to be all green flag laps.
Okay.
So we'll see how that works out.
Make sure Elliot tightens his petcock before he goes out.
He says he's letting his petcock go, and he's putting regular drain plugs back in his engine block. I run the same petcocks. They do work. You just got to tighten them a little bit more with a pair of pliers.
For somebody that pets their cock as much as he does, I just surprised that thing fell out.
There's been a lot of petcock jokes on Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, it's Elliot, so it was a little loose in the hole there.
Nobody pets her more than him. We know that. So,
but he felt terrible about it, and whatever. I mean, stuff happens. We all move on. I mean, could have been worse. None of us, other than Brian's rear getting all bent up.
you all finished the race, so
we could have all been.
I think 5 more laps, hell, you would have won that. I'll tell you the truth.
So, for a while there, I thought it was going to go green, white, green the checker because we were strung out and we're just all going, and then. Like Darrell Waltrip says, cautions breed cautions. After that first caution,
it all started. I have to say I do like Nancy's idea for next week instead of the 100 lapper doing a 94 lapper.
Yeah, remember John Gasco? We did bring it up a little bit, but it's kind of hard to do now. It's a little late in the game because it's been advertised since last year as a 100 lapper, and people bought tickets to see a 100 lapper, not a 94 lapper.
But they'll still be waiting in the grandstand out the parking lot to get in.
Yeah, I'm going to say 6. Cutting off 6 laps is not really that big of a deal.
One of the other big questions was for factory stocks if we're going to have like a halfway break for fuel or anything. I'm told no, straight through 100 laps, no fuel break.
Are you? Is there going to be?
I got 16-gallon cells in our cars. I think we're going to use about 10 to 12 gallons. Andrew Krause even said he ran that 100 lapper in a modified race and only used 10 gallons of gas. I remember I ran 150 laps there with the same 16-gallon cell and still had fuel in the car. So I think you're looking at about 10 or 11 gallons of gas we're going to use.
I only have an 8-gallon cell, so yeah.
Yeah, you would have been in trouble, Josh. You would.
I ran out in the pits after
since last year that you would have had all winter to get a bigger cell because you knew you were coming up to 100 lapper.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next race. What was the next feature down? That was the 100 lap modifieds, right?
Yes.
And Tim, you were spotting for
Cecily.
Anthony Cecily in the number 16 car.
Yes.
How many modifieds were there, Josh? 21?
I see 20 here for the feature results.
There was 21, but Blake Barney.
Yeah. No, he did.
That car had mechanical problems. Unfortunately, they had a bent valve or a valve stick or something like that, and they just loaded the car up in the trailer and called it a day. And another ironic thing I heard today, because I do work for Dick Barney, and I had my tow truck there to get rear tires on. 2 tires, $600, Josh. What do you think about that? Tow truck.
Enduros, yeah.
So yeah, I was at Dick Barney today. I got 2 tires put on the tow truck. $600 later, got to spend a little time with Dick Barney. Ironically enough, they're not racing this week in the modified tour race. They had Blake and Robert Barney, their mother Darlene, are actually down in Florida for memorial service for Blake's uncle. So unfortunately, they're one of the few people kind of hoping for rain this weekend because they're not going to be here. If it rains out, they can make it.
Scott, didn't you bring a car to a viewing or funeral?
Yeah, that was Friday night, last Friday.
Okay.
Mike Mangello's dirt car I bought over there for him.
Okay. And that was
one of many. I tell you what, one part of the towing business, I tow a lot of race cars, so a lot of funerals.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Go ahead.
Back to the modified race. There's 20 cars, took the green flag. Tim, where did you guys start?
I don't know. 10th, maybe 8th. I don't know.
So you have your like spotter notebook?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did you guys? They did a
We did good. We did okay. We did exactly what we wanted to. The game plan in any race, like Josh said before, is you get what you can on the start, and you ride around. You got to get to halfway before you can even get any worried about where you're going to win or not. So we did exactly that. Anthony's plan was to be as farther up to the lead as he could be when he pitted. We were second when we pitted, came back out, and something just wasn't right. Whatever, the tires were different, air pressure. I don't know something just wasn't the same, and the car wasn't that great. So we dropped back a little bit just to ride around, and then he tried at the end and used it up, and we ended up fourth. That's all there is to it.
Tim, how do you like the 100-lap distance? Too
I
much,
like it.
not enough?
I think it's perfect.
You like the 100 laps?
Yeah, you make it to 50s halfway, and then you don't count cautions after that, and it's the way it should be. There's enough laps that you have to pit, makes the fans, into the pit stops and everything, and I think it's perfect.
I think
another ironic twist to the modified race was, for the first time in a very long time, no Jimmy Blewett in a modified race at Turkey Derby. Unfortunately, Jimmy, his wife Katie, and his 2 children came down with the COVID. I heard Jimmy had it pretty bad too. I heard he's struggling a little bit with it. Tim, have you heard from Jimmy?
Just via text. He says he's getting better. He's still got a long way to go. He did want me to say, if we did podcast it, thanks for all the text messages and everything, he's okay. Grandpa's okay. A lot of people ask about Grandpa. Grandpa's okay. He says it's tough. He says, and Scott, you know just as well as I do that Jimmy in the beginning didn't believe in any of this.
Yeah,
and he says it's no joke. Whatever you get is no joke. So he's fighting through it. He's okay. I mean, he's on Facebook and Instagram, so he's not completely disabled, but he's nowhere near ready to come out of the house yet. So
yeah,
it's no joke.
So it was strange not having Jimmy Blewett at Turkey Derby, but they had a very capable, suitable substitute in the car with Eric Mariello. I tell you what, Eric drove that car phenomenal. I mean,
he did. Yeah,
he really did a great job. Andrew, of course, he was running great again. Andrew was doing a great job as well. Another one stuck out. Jack Ely was running very good in Steve Herrera's car. Unfortunately, he got spun late into the race and had to go to the back. But he was doing
he spun him out. I think it was the 55 spun him out.
Might have been a little
Oh yeah, and he decided to push Cecily in the corner going into 3 about 100 miles an hour. Cecily, all 4 tires are locked up smoking.
Yeah, I saw that.
Steve Reed must have slipped off the brake pedal.
I saw Tyler Truex do that to somebody too, and Tyler ended up skating up the track more and losing spots himself, so it didn't really work out for him. It got a little aggressive there at the end. I thought it was a great modified race. I tell you what, the track was fast Saturday. It really was, and the outside was really good. I mean, I was able to pass well on the outside, and it seemed like once again for the modified race, it seemed like the outside was the place to be on restarts, right, Tim?
For sure, yes, definitely for sure, outside. That's what happened to Krause in that last restart. He just smoked the tires off of it.
Unfortunately, we did have one pretty scary bad accident.
McCarthy.
Eddie McCarthy, unfortunately, got on his roof and he went for a long slot.
Yeah.
No fun. To me, it looked like Matt Hirschman came up and didn't realize.
That's what everybody said. And if you look at the pictures, it looks like Matt came up on him. And I'm sure I spotted for Matt for 4 years. It was definitely not intentional. Something must have broke or he lost traction or something.
Matt kind of beat Eddie off the corner. And he just maybe thought he had him clear. But Eddie had, like we were just saying, the outside so fast at Wall Stadium when they put that sticky stuff down. Eddie McCarthy just had a good run and got alongside Matt when Matt decided to come up, and they kind of.
We can blame Muffy for that because Tony wasn't there.
Well, I heard there was because McCarthy and Hirschman's were pitted next to each other in the pits, and Matt said that Spotter never really said he was out there.
Oh, good job, Muffy. Good job.
So who knows? I mean, like you said, you never see Matt making a mistake, and he did. He made a mistake, but then again. When you beat when you're on the inside on a modified race and you beat somebody off the corner, you think you got them cleared. But when they got that sticky stuff down, and he just had a good run coming off the top sign and got alongside Matt.
But it wasn't nothing intentional. Matt didn't wreck it on purpose.
But I tell you what, Eddie McCarthy even has the in-car camera of his flip. Okay, those modifieds are tight inside, and when they flip and the top roll cage part collapses down a little bit, it gets real tight, and the carburetor's sticking out, and there's sparks. It had to be nerve-wracking inside that car.
Did that car have the steel roof on it or the fiberglass roof on it?
The way it was sparking, I'd have to imagine it was steel.
Okay, that's good. At least he had the steel roof on it.
But I'm not sure. I don't know. Scary ride for Eddie McCarthy. Glad to see he was okay. I tell you what, Matt wrecked pretty good in that wreck too. So glad to see he was okay too.
His LFR cars, I don't know if anybody's flipped in one of those yet, to tell you the truth.
And I heard the one car thing kicked down a little bit, and I heard they got the car stripped down already, and it's already on its way back to LFR.
Yeah, hopefully they look at it. Now, is that LFR or is it a Fury?
Who knows? What's the difference?
Well, depending on where it's going.
Yeah.
I know. It's a Billy Cole. I think Billy Cole is a Fury dealer, I think. Yeah.
All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about modified race?
I know it was a good race. Everybody seemed to be happy with it. There was a couple. Yeah, the 51. It was the car that takes people out, not Jimmy Blewett. So.
Yeah. I didn't ever take anybody out. He did shake the 31 up a little bit, up just to rattle his cage a little bit.
Well, of course he's got it. That's the car. That's the car he drove last year. You want to get ahead of that one. It's all part of it.
It's all part of it. Eric put on a great race. I enjoyed the modified race. I really did.
Did LeCicero get penalized for pitting while the pits were closed?
Who's that?
They did. I do remember somebody at some point in time they said pitted too soon. They did an excellent job with that this year. Usually that's a bit of debacle, but when the pits are open and when they're closed, they were very on top of that this year. So there's really no reason for you to get into that predicament. But I do remember someone at some point pitting too soon.
I'm pretty sure they said 27L, and I think that was LeCicero.
Yeah. Then I think with 40 laps to go, it was just open all the time. You could come in whenever you wanted. There was no pit road closed. After all the cars had pitted, they give you one shot, and then it was open after that.
Yeah,
Josh is top 10 for the modified race.
Yeah. Eric Moriel, and this is what I love. The Eric Moriel unretires.
That happens more. It happened to Mark Martin. It happened to Darrell Waltrip. As soon as they retire, they get a better ride.
Going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, people just keep calling him with great rides, and you can't turn down rides like that.
Yeah.
I even told Steve Ferrara a little bit. I did some towing for Steve, and Steve said they're already buying a second car for Eric to drive whenever he wants.
Jeez. All right, so yeah, he unretired and gets the win. Andrew Krause, we talked about, had a great race. I mean, he loves starting on the high side, and he was doing great for quite. He had a fast car. He just didn't have the fastest car. I think
he pitted a little bit earlier than those guys. I think his tires.
Yeah, he did.
His tires gave up. Yeah,
he pitted a stop before everybody else.
Yeah, so he was on a little bit older tires, and he just kind of hold those fresh tires off.
Okay.
I tell you once they were good, but once they fell off fast.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like hitting a switch, right, Tim?
Anthony went from all right, it's starting to go away to like half a lap. It was gone. They were junk. You could hardly hold on to it. So.
Wow.
Hey, Josh, our little podcast break must have really gave my brother some energy. This is the most he's talked in a podcast.
No, he's all freaking riled up.
Well, I'm the only one that's been ready every week for the last 6 months.
All right, Josh, who's the top 10 of the modified race?
All right, so third was Tommy Martino Jr. Fourth was Anthony Sesley. Thanks to Tim, who didn't know where they started, and I'm surprised that he knew where they finished.
Dude, half the time I don't know what car you're spotting for until I get there.
Fifth was Stephen Reed, Zach Alsbach, Derek Hopkinson, Tyler Truex, Adam LeCicero, and Kyle Sisko are your top 10.
Unfortunately, Kyle Sisko had a real good run going, and he lost power steering late in the race, and he fell back a few spots. My brother did tell me a funny spotting story. He said, my brother he's pretty laid back and sits while he spots. He said when Eddie McCarthy flipped over and everybody stood up to see the wreck, my brother didn't stand up. He just told Anthony Cecily he was on his own.
I told him you can't see it no more.
My brother's like, I can't see you anymore. You're on your own.
Talking about
It stands up.
no, talking about Cisco. Mr. Cisco passed away. That's
Oh yeah,
we
John
have to say-
Cisco passed away. Unfortunately, I think he was living down in Florida when he passed away. John and Brian Cisco have been around racing forever. John Cisco actually helped me build my very first race car. He did the interior sheet metal tin in it, and he used to do phenomenal work sheet metal wise. It was sad to see John pass away.
Yeah, I don't remember. Mr. Cisco he always treated us like we were his kids. Like he would scold us when we were doing something wrong. You know, he was always firm with us.
If you're doing something wrong, he would just give you that.
He'd give you that look, like yeah.
He was a quiet guy. He'd just give you that silent stare, and you knew to stop.
He always treated us with respect when we were kids, and I got to. He was friends with my in-laws, so he was around them. Even after he moved down to Florida, I got to hang out with him in Florida, and it's a shame. I don't know what he.
Guy too. Didn't he do union sheet metal?
Yeah, he was a union guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
And
don't hold me to this, but I think he was in the Tin Knockers Union doing.
that's
tin
why he
work.
did the bodies and everything, right?
Yeah, that's why he was so good doing the race car fabrication tin work too.
Yeah, so he will be missed. He hasn't been around in a while, but I used to have breakfast Sundays. Me and Lisa used to have breakfast with him every Sunday morning at the roadside diner back in the day, and he's a great guy on and off the track, and he hasn't been around here in quite a few years, but he still will be missed.
Another thing I want to point out: great run for Tommy Martino Jr. Finished.
He's
third.
he's
I don't
he's
even know
getting
how,
better and better.
because the last time I paid attention, he was running like ninth, and then when I got home on Facebook, he had this big post saying, "Oh, thanks to everybody, I finished third." I'm like, "Wow, how'd that happen? I didn't even notice it." You know.
Oh, he's got Ronnie Buck on the radio. Ronnie Buck stands right next to me, and Ronnie's very vocal. I can hear what he's saying, and he's really teaching that kid a lot. He's telling him where to go, where to drive, and do all that.
Plus,
So he's working.
focused on what he's doing. His dad builds great motors. He's got Robin Worsley helping him with the chassis setup. They went to Florida, so he got some experience down there, on a bigger, faster track. So when you come to Wall Stadium, it might slow down things a little bit for you, where it's easier for you to drive it. I think he's going to be one of the people we got to keep an eye on this year. I think he's going to do very well.
Yeah.
He's also got a tour type car, so I think he's going to be back this week for the 150 lapper as well.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about it, but like you said, Saturday morning, Scott, everything was frosted over and it was chilly, but it ended up being a gorgeous day.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah, it was.
And I think that's another thing that held up things on the ticket booth. I think they had a bigger walk-up crowd than they thought they were going to have, because it was a beautiful day. I even talked to some of my friends during the week, because you got to remember, Thursday and Friday it was cold, like windy cold. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people were saying, well, I ain't going. It's going to be too windy and cold. And then the forecast changed where there was going to be no wind. It was supposed to be mid-50s. And people called me back. They're like, yeah, we're going. What time does it start? The weather looks better. It turned out being a perfect day for racing. But the next race we're going to do is the Fast Fours. It got chilly by the time the four cylinders got on.
When that sun went down, it dropped like 20 degrees, I swear. But I will say, midday, the number of planes coming out of the airport, and did you see like the military, like that Apache that flew over?
Helicopter,
That helicopter was cool looking, wasn't it? And it flew over right as the national anthem was going on, so everybody was like, "Oh, cool, we had a flyover."
It was cool. I mean, everybody was out doing stuff, and it was absolutely fantastic. It's funny. I actually would like to film with my drone there, and I can. It's legal, Class G airspace. I actually just need permission from the Krauses to land and take off from the property. Once I'm in the air, I can do whatever I want.
Quick story, drone story. I know you're on the producing side of it, or what you want to call it, filming side of it. I used to remember someone was flying a drone around while the race was going on. They just announced over the loudspeaker, "Who's ever flying this drone? If you don't take it down yourself, we're going to shoot it down." That's the last we saw on the drone.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, it's actually a federal offense to do that.
Shoot a drone.
If you take out a drone,
legs off your mattress, Josh, but you do that too. So
Yeah,
All right,
that's
so
true.
Next event up was the fast, new name for the four-cylinder division, the Fast Fours, but we're still going to call it the same thing here. Half the cylinders, twice the drama. The Fast Fours rolled down on the track. How many
Oh,
races
and that
they have,
did not
Josh?
disappoint, Scott. 22 cars.
Yeah, so they were the
Best field of the week.
yeah, they were the breadwinners for car count wise. They were one more than the modifieds. Great race too. I tell you what, there was a good mix of cars speed wise. You know, It made for
Everybody
good
had
race
somebody to
long.
race with, right?
You know what's funny? Like I went in the grandstands to watch that race, and when you're watching them, they look slow.
Right.
But then when you check their lap times, they're just as fast, or not, if not faster than the factory stock. So I guess just because the sound of them, and they look slow. I mean, don't get me wrong; they put on great side by side racing, and there's action all the way around the racetrack. But they just look slow. And then when I go home and look at the lap times, I'm like, they're just as fast as us, if not faster. You know, it's weird. The different sound on them too. I think maybe.
Yeah, with running such high RPMs, that noise, you expect them
Like they're
to
stuck in the
really
mud,
be.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. You
was
expect
great.
it to be like a
Tell you what,
TQ.
Marianne McLaren, she got a new ride this year. She's driving the car that Neil Rutt drove last year, this Allegory car. Super, super fast car. I think, pretty sure she saw her on the pole because she won her heat race. And she took off, man. She was gone.
She was checked out.
She was doing a great job with the lap cars, passing them.
She
Really
has the
nice.
talent. She has the car. And she was setting like blistering lap times. But I think what happened was she saw somebody in her mirror and she started getting in her own head. And
Like it gets tough. I mean, the caution did come out. That bunched the field up. And she had some heavy hitters. I mean, that Joe Warren guy from Riverhead, he's always fast wherever he goes.
yeah,
I mean, you had Alonzo Morales up there. You had Glenn Osborne in the other Paul Hartwick car that's always fast. And even though she fell back a few spots, she didn't panic. She didn't wreck. She held her own. She was driving very well. But then I stopped watching. I walked upstairs to get my payout, and
that's when you missed everything.
Crowd cheering and screaming and giving someone the finger and telling them to go home and all this stuff. And I guess she got into a wreck with one of the Riverhead guys, and they both got black flag for rough driving.
Yeah, I didn't see what caused it, but she dumped that dude. He was sideways, and she just kept pushing him. She completely cleaned him out.
Like blocking her mirror driving, she just had.
Yeah, I don't know.
Clean them out.
She definitely cleaned him out. That's for sure.
But she did, like someone said on Facebook, she did like a 15.8. So she keeps driving that car every week this year. She's going to get a few wins in that car. She really is.
Yeah, she did an excellent job. Excellent job.
No, she's fast. She's quick. She's smart. She's fast. I think she might need to settle down just a hair. But other than that,
And another good thing about her moving into that other car that freed up her car, which was better than her sister's car, and her sister ran very well in Darianne's last year car. She got a top 10 out of it. I think she even finished 7th. I think. So it was good
Eighth.
to see her. She's in a little bit better equipment this year too.
she ended up 8th, and that because Deanna was running JC's Recon Rocket last year.
Yeah, so that freed that car up for JC himself to race it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody talks about Eric Moriel retiring, but our buddy JC Duvall, that was his retirement race too. He said that was his last race.
He sold it. He sold the car.
Yeah, he sold it. I heard he sold it to one of Tyler Truex' crew members. So
Huh? It's a beautiful car. It really is.
But like Eric Moriel, I'm sure JC Duvall will be getting phone calls from
Many phone calls.
Yeah, and they'll drag JC out of retirement, and he'll be back behind the wheel before we know it.
I know JC loves doing it. I guarantee he had a blast
This
running
is
the
JC's
race.
problem. He has a problem. He loves racing. He loves sitting in the grandstands watching racing. He can't decide which one he likes better, so he jumps back and forth.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'll bet you guys right now, before the year's out, JC Duvall will be back on the other side of the fence and racing a race car again.
Okay.
It'll be a short-lived retirement.
See, I would totally see him running from time to time, and that's why I think like an enduro schedule would be perfect for him. He could watch the weekly stuff at Wall, and then occasionally go, like once a month, go run an enduro, and I think he would have a blast.
JC, don't hang up your helmet. Don't sell your fire suit. You'll be back in a race car before you know it. Trust me.
He's fun. He did well.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I remember watching him from when he started till now, and he's gotten a lot better. He does well.
You gotta remember, he drives for a living. I mean, that's what he does for a living. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I understand the van, but you drive down the turnpike and through the cities, and he goes to Boston and New York and Baltimore. You learn how to drive. He drives through all types of weather and conditions, and it helps you on the track. He's very aware when he drives.
Yeah, it was funny. I talked to him in the pits before his feature, and he's like, "Yeah, we've been sitting here for how many? I should have a 6-pack of PBR down by now. Like I should be on my second one." And,
he wants to be a competitor, but he still wants to party too. So he's got a tough decision to make,
But he's so much fun. I mean, I love having him involved in the sport. Even if he's a car owner, if he's a driver, if he's in the stands, he's great to have around racing because he's fun.
He's a race fan that acts like he's at like a football game.
Yeah,
like he shows the same passion like the football fans show, but he's at a race. Like he's a little mixture of different sports as a race fan. So it's good to see.
He's fun.
He's the guy that would be in the grandstands with number one finger on his hand. You know what I'm saying?
Can we get him the cheese hat or the hockey puck hat?
I'm telling you, 40 years out, JC will be back in a race car. He's not retired yet.
Okay, I could see him running again.
Oh, Josh will be back in a race.
So the guy with the shark fin, he won.
Joe Warren.
He didn't have a fit on it though.
Joe also went down to New Smyrna. He's the guy, Long Island guy that went down to New Smyrna and raced. I got to know Joe a little bit. He does race the Enduros up at Bethel when I'm up there. He's also a figure 8 driver at Riverhead as well. He runs 4 cylinders, figure 8, stuff like that. He's got a truck, 2-car hauler. The 31 car that Darian got tangled up with is his teammate. They travel together. They go to races together. Joe's a dedicated racer. He loves racing, Matter of fact, one time it was supposed to rain out at Bethel. I guess he didn't head up there. Well, it didn't rain out. I got up there, and I didn't see Joe up there. And I'm like, I guess he's not making it up because of the weather. Race gets over with. I win the race. I look at the pits. Joe's parked at the pits. I'm like, dude, where you been? He's like, we decided last minute to come up here. We just missed it. One of the pits, the race was over.
Yeah, I couldn't.
So, Josh, what's your opinion about the new name for the 4-cylinder division, Fast Fours?
I thought it was fine the way it was.
What was it? Just 4-cylinder division?
Yeah. You had factory stocks and then 4 cylinders, but then because factory stocks wasn't 8 cylinders. I don't know. Maybe it was too akin to Enduros.
I think the Fast Furious, maybe they're trying to feed off the Fast and Furious type people.
Yeah, maybe.
Fast Fours, maybe.
I'm
fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, the alliteration is nice.
They should let them put those big wings on them and stuff. Like the big,
I like the kids driving on the street, right?
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
I'm fine
Maybe
with
the
it.
ground effect lights, the lights underneath, stuff like that.
Oh, that's plus 5 horsepower right there.
All right, Josh, is with the top 10s with the 4-cylinder division.
Yeah. So you mentioned the shark fin, Joe Warren gets the win. Alonso Morales with another. I mean, that's a fast car. I mean, he's always right up there. He's a good driver with a good car.
Driver too. Like he was all over that 15 car, and he never turned them or nothing. Like they were racing hard. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, that was good hard racing where you're like, you're waiting. Is he going to bump him? Is he going to move him?
Yeah.
And he was on him. The bumpers were touching, but he wasn't doing anything dirty. I mean, it was a good hard race.
And same with Joe Warren. I mean, there was times Alonso's on the outside of him, and Joe really didn't run him up high or anything like that. Like they gave him room to race. It was a good race, good hard race.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Then we had Sean Volksanic, Alex Gritz, Nicole Rosano, Billy Prost, Malcolm Campbell, legend driver in the '89 car, which I think Carol Miller kind of owns, but Rick Patterson's kind of listed as the owner. Rob Longo helps out. It's a weird thing. Rick's been talking about putting me in that car. I was like, oh yeah, I'll take a ride. Why not?
Hey, Rick,
yeah.
I'd like to try a 4-cylinder too if you don't want to put Josh in the car.
But let me try first. Then 8th was Deanna McLaren. 9th was J.C. Duvall. Andrew Farnham is your 10th place. That'll round that out for you. Yeah, so other than the bit of drama that Darien got into, and I missed what actually caused it, but that was I think she did tried to do a burnout down the entire backstretch there on her way out.
All right, so
you got to mention that Glenn Osborne's kid drove a hell of a race in that. He was wheeling that thing around.
He gave the car everything it was worth.
Yeah, and something broke, I guess, at the end. I'm not sure what happened.
I enjoy racing with Brian in the factory stocks, but I miss him in the 4-cylinders. Like he really wheels a 4-cylinder like nobody else, and I enjoy watching him in the 4-cylinder division.
For something to say for that too, in the beginning of that factory stock race, he was lucky that was you behind him and not somebody else.
Yeah,
I think they would have. He's doing well, but he was definitely holding all you guys up, and you were getting a lot of heat from behind you. I was just waiting for somebody to shove you into him, and
right. And then when I finally decided to jump on the top side, he gave me room. He ran me
on
the race up there, and I was able to get by him on the outside.
He's definitely doing well. He's getting there.
All right, so that finally wraps up day one of Turkey Derby 2020. That moves us to day two of Turkey Derby 2020, which is the 150 lap modified tour type race. I think the late models are there that day, and the TQ midgets are there that day.
No legends?
Yeah, I don't know if they're Saturday or Sunday. I'm not really sure.
Let's see. Okay, if I click here, maybe it'll tell me.
So coming up to this weekend, while Josh is looking for that, it's 2 days of racing now. You got to remember, it's Saturday and Sunday. Sunday, the main division.
Legends are going to be Sunday.
Sunday. Okay, give us a rundown for what's coming up this weekend.
All right, so Saturday is going to be the TQs, the Tour mods, and the late models. That's it.
So 3 divisions, huh?
3 divisions, and you're getting the late models, which I mean,
there was a couple.
They had a lot in practice.
Okay,
you got the Riverhead guys coming. So I think the late model race is going to be a little bit better than you think, Josh.
Okay, yeah, I'm used to our 6-car.
Now I'm wondering who's going to drive the Jimmy Blewett, Rob Ormsby, Shannon Monjo, number 19 late model, because Shannon Monjo is another one that announced his retirement earlier in the week. And
that trophy picture, yeah.
I think I wonder if Eric's going to be in that too. Eric Moriello might be in the late model too. That'd be cool to see.
And then on Sunday we have.
I have a feeling Jimmy might be okay and back racing by this weekend. What do you think, Tim? Or is the commission?
I don't know what the protocol.
It depends on. You're supposed to quarantine for 10 or 14 days. So
I'm sure he expects to, but I don't know. He might not be ready.
Or not.
Yeah, or that if he's gonna be.
Josh, what races on Sunday?
So Sunday we have the Legends, the 4-cylinders, or what? Whoa! It says 4-cylinder here. That's wrong. It's the Fast Fours.
Fast Fours.
Yeah. So
Rob Ormsby's quite capable of driving that car too.
That'd be cool to see. You're right, Tim. That'd be cool to see Rob jump back in his own lead.
He won it like 2 years ago, and
yeah.
He came down a victory lane and threw the flag down the victory.
Yeah. Leave every finger and go off.
Yeah.
So
Rob Ormsby's fast.
we said Legends 4-cylinders, the dirt modified / sportsman. So I guess they're lumping all the dirt cars together. No dirt outlaw stocks though.
I know. I would have bought my car too.
But yeah, they have a 50 lapper and then the factory stock 100 lapper, which I mean that's going to be the draw. I mean, because you have 40 laps for the Legends, which I mean the Legends.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely the division that day.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
Factory stocks are absolutely the headliner. Although it's weird because it's $50 to take the green for the Legends, 50 for the 4-cylinders, $250 to take the green for the dirt cars, and 60 to take the green for the factory stocks.
Well, we don't do it for the money, Josh.
No. And
you do it for the petcocks.
Yes, 1,000 to win though. That's not a bad purse for factory stuff.
We were 500 to win last week, and I finished 6th and got $125, so that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, yeah. And 1,800 to win for the dirt cars. So hopefully the.
They might draw some cars in. That's a pretty good purse for that
Honest-
little race.
I loved the dirt car. Like I remember the first year they did it. I mean, it was in a way it was a mess.
Yeah, but how
but it
many
was
of those cars are going to be at Bridgeport?
yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I
We're
know.
going
I
at-
got a dilemma. They're having the 8 cylinders at Bridgeport on Sunday and a 100 lapper at Wall. I mean, I love Bridgeport. I love the size of the track. I love the speed of the track. But 20 laps at Bridgeport or 100 laps at Wall, I'm going to Wall. You know?
Oh yeah, if you get 100 laps, yeah.
And who knows? This might be the only 100 lapper the factory stock's do in the history of Wall Stadium, or it might be a good show and we might get one a year. So I definitely want to go and support this race and see what happens.
I miss the long distance races. I really do.
I love long distance races. The longer the better.
100. You have to learn to drive it. You have to learn to pace yourself. It is a completely different driving style. But
All right,
yeah,
guys. Well, let's wrap this up. It's almost 9 o'clock already. We're glad to be back. We plan on doing this every week. We might take a week or two off, between Turkey Derby and opening night. We might come on and do it anyway. I run a towing business. Josh has a young family. My brother has a young family, so we really got to do it when the time we do it. We do enjoy doing it. We do enjoy that you guys like that we do it. But I know it only seems like it's only 2 hours a week. You guys sit down and do the podcast, which is true. But man, it's so hard for us three to get together for 2 hours.
You need to sync these three schedules, and then I still have to edit all this and then post it, and with the uploading, and it becomes a lot more because I probably won't get to bed till midnight at this point, and I got to be up at 6 or 5 for work.
But we do enjoy it. We do enjoy that you guys enjoy it, and we do appreciate the feedback we get from you guys, and we do appreciate you telling us at the track that you missed the show, and people were emailing us, and so it makes us feel like we're wanted. So we're definitely going to keep doing it. We're going to have another year of it. We'll do all the local stuff like we always do, and we'll sprinkle in some NASCAR stuff.
Just do us a favor and share it or say, hey guys, listen to this. Get a few other people interested, because as it grows, that helps us too, and that's more incentive because then we have more people yelling at us to.
We're still on YouTube, Josh. We're still on Podbean or whatever that's called.
Yeah, we're on. So YouTube is our main area. That's easy. We set up a link. You can actually stare at our ugly mugs. But then, yeah, you have Stitcher, iTunes, Podbean. I'm going to work on Spotify. If it's not there already, I'm going to try to get it up there. And yeah, like wherever you get your pod. I think Podcast Addict is another one. I don't know how. There's so many damn apps. So
I listen to mine on Stitcher or YouTube. When I'm driving my tow truck, I'll just put it on Stitcher. Stitcher works very well.
If you can do it at work, YouTube's an easy one to for everybody. But if you're looking to save data, yeah, try to do it on Stitcher or iTunes or something like that, where you can download it ahead of time and yeah. But we'll try not to take up too much of your bandwidth. But no, we enjoy doing. We missed being away. I'm happy to be back. We just need to keep on it. And now that Wall Stadium's running again, and hopefully. I don't want to get into politics, but hopefully, with COVID, things are going to ease up and more things will open up, and it'll be easier for more and more people to get out and go to the track. And we'd love to be part of that. I mentioned earlier in passing that I'm trying to do a lot of video work for Grandview this year for their Outlaw Enduro series. I doubt I can make every event, but I'm going to try to get out there and be able to talk about that stuff as well. Hopefully I'll be filming Scott out there. We'll see how many races he makes. But yeah, and I'd love to get myself back in my own car at some point. But yeah,
All right, guys.
we have a lot coming up. Yeah,
So
I'm putting Scott to sleep
episode
here.
187 of the RPM podcast.
Oh, what have we learned today?
Oh, what have we learned today? That Turkey Derby in March wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah, that's a very good. What did you learn, Tim?
Nothing. I'm not going to say it. I won't get in trouble.
I learned that if we if we don't do a podcast for a while, Tim gets really riled up.
Full of energy.
One thing I did learn over the weekend is don't buy your tickets online anymore. Just go to Track and buy them. It's a hell of a lot easier.
I didn't have a problem. I don't know what he's talking about.
I mean, you win the pits, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Why wouldn't I go in the pits? That's
The grandstands, the pits went a lot smoother than the grandstands.
yeah. Well, I will say the pits were a lot calmer than the grandstands. Just people wise, I think a lot of people, a lot of people didn't go into the pits for whatever reason with the COVID and all that. So yeah, it worked out for me. I went with my dad. We were wandering around talking to everybody, and then yeah, it was nice. But we had a wonderful time. So oh yeah, and let's just real quick. We have to thank the Kraus family for sticking this out, going through it's tough times. We all know that.
I mean, I keep hearing it's a 3-year lease. I have not seen anything official about it. Have you guys heard anything?
I've only heard the rumors.
I heard the same thing. I heard, quite honest with you, I didn't want to say it, but you asked. Everybody was saying in the pits or in the grandstands, I should say, that there was going to be a 3-year lease, but there was going to be no more late models and no more legend cars. People were saying.
Why would you get rid of legend?
Why would you get rid of either? I mean, but I'm
Well,
not.
I know the late models are on once a month. I think they got 5 races scheduled.
Yeah.
And
Well, look, either way,
the next stuff with the legend cars. I don't know.
I like the girls love the legend cars.
no,
I like
the
the
legend cars are
cars.
cool. They have it. They run all green or they have a bunch of reds. You gotta pick.
If I operated a racetrack, I would definitely keep the legend cars on because it's a perfect crossover for the kids like my nieces from the Sunday series and the quarter midgets. It's the next logical step up the ladder. And that's
Okay.
why
Yeah. No,
it
that's
kind
a
of moves the Sunday kids to the Saturday night program. It's like the perfect step. Them or the 4 cylinders. I think it's the perfect fit for that, and that's why I would keep them.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
It's yeah. I definitely agree. The legends are a good series to have and keep, and if you can stay within the sanctioning and they make
But
it
from
easy.
a distance, seeing how some of the guys act with the tech guys, the weird thing with the legend cars is either you're INEX or you're not, and it gets confusing because some tracks have like their own certain little rules where it conflicts with INEX rules.
That,
It's a
that
little
happened
confusing.
in the Sunday series too, because we're supposed to be whatever that is. What's the go kart series called?
or whatever.
Oh, yeah, and then some of the stuff's not, so it kind of makes for different interpretations of the rules. And
If the rumor is true, they're not going to have legend cars, which I heard nothing about. I think it would be the conflicting thing with INEX, maybe.
Well, time will only tell on that, but the Krauses have done a lot, and I need to get a better working relationship with them because I really want to do some more positive video stuff, and basically make little commercials that they could just share, and come on, bring people to the track.
you can make a commercial yourself and share it on Facebook. Everybody can share it. People.
I want to do.
We didn't mention, Josh, that Saturday's portion of Turkey Derby this week is on pay-per-view.
Yes.
30
Oh, I did want to talk. Yes, that's a good thing. They're going to be.
Dirt Track Digest.
Was it like $35 or something like that? But you get to watch.
$31.99.
All right, $31.99.
And I told him I would pay the $1.99 and he can pay the $30.
But no, that's awesome. I mean, so if you can't make it, or if you're if you're sick or whatever, if you don't want to go for,
They'll do well. They're going to do well.
I love the
I
idea.
think this is the icebreaker they need for pay-per-view. I think it's going to work well, like Tim just said, for both parties involved. And I think Krauses are going to realize that, wow, this could work and help us. Because, like even our little show, we got listeners in Florida and Tennessee that can't make it up here.
Oh,
So-
yeah, it was like the Goulds. They would be great. They could just tune in and watch.
And I definitely think this in the next few years, we're going to see this pay-per-view stuff at local short tracks grow. I think every track is going to have some type of pay-per-view type deal going on for every race of the year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it's going to, especially with what we've seen with, all the kids doing virtual schooling and how easy it is to do, so much of this, basically do everything virtual. There's no reason that we can't extend this and get, the track should always offer, from here on out, a pay-per-view option, just so anybody. Imagine people just watching at their phones, they got to be at their kids' basketball game or something like that, so they can't make it to the track, and they can keep checking up on things. I use the race monitor. I'm sure you do too, Scott.
Yeah.
But
I think it's going to be a win-win. I'm really looking forward to see how it works out for everybody. All right, guys, that wraps up episode 187 of the RPM podcast.
Yep, we will see you next week. Go to Wall.
Wash your hands.
All right,
Jimmy Blewett didn't wash his hands, and he got COVID. So
use the cherry bomb, Zep, and Wall Stadium bathrooms to clean your hands. It works great. All right,
good night, everybody.
Good night.